Sacred Sites with Steve Ray, here on Morning Joy, where truth matters.
Got to buckle up today. We got a long bus ride ahead of us. I've done this with groups over 100 times. So we've been to the Holy Land over 200 times, but we've led 100 groups through the Holy Land. So last week we landed the plane. And it landed in the Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv, and everybody gets off the plane. They've been flying for over 12 hours. It's 12 hours just from New York to Tel Aviv. Some of them are coming from California or whatever. But anyway, they're tired. They get off. The first thing you got to do is walk down and get in the passport line. Usually it's okay, but on busy days, and last year, before the war, there was 4 million people came to Tel Aviv in a year. So sometimes the lines are long, but then they get the luggage, but that's okay because we hire a smile service. So look for our sign. It says Steve Ray Group Footprints of God. They're there to help you get your luggage, get you out, make sure there's no luggage lost, take care of you, get you all together. But if you have your name tags on, it's going to help because they'll know, they'll spot you, they'll bring you out, and then you look for us. Look for this hat, because that's what's out in the arrivals area, and I'm there waiting, Janet and myself and our guide and our driver. Everybody wants to know about phones and money. Well, you don't have to change your money. They use dollars everywhere in Israel. Bring an ATM card. It's the easiest way to get cash. Dollars are used. If you change money, you're just wasting, these days when you travel, you don't need to change money. It's a waste of conversion rates. Just use an ATM card or a credit card and don't worry about cash. Phones, that's a whole nother issue. Today, phones are great. You can use them overseas very easy. Now, you got to use the restroom. I know I'm always talking about bathrooms, but when you're traveling, that's the most important thing for people. And we got a 2-hour drive. So I'm going to watch your luggage while you go and use the restrooms, and we'll get out on the bus. What you look for is a big, beautiful gray bus. It's always a brand new Mercedes because my driver, David, owns his own bus. And we always use David, and we always use our guide Armor. So you always have that same beautiful bus. If we have more than 50 people, we have 2 beautiful brand new Mercedes buses because David has a partner. Anyway, that's our crew. We get out on the bus. We got a 2-hour ride. And if you're going to drink your coffee, finish it before you get on the bus because you're not allowed to drink coffee on the bus. It stains the seats, and they're brand new. But anyway, so I start out by getting a luggage on, of course, and I introduce everybody. They're all anticipation. They're all excited. This is something they've been wanting to do that's called a trip of a lifetime, or it's what they've wanted to do their whole life, and they've been planning this for over a year, saving money, getting all their deposits paid, and now they're there. And one of the first things I do is say, everybody, take a second and pinch yourself and realize you're really here. You're not imagining it anymore. You're really on the bus and you are in the Holy Land. I remember the first time I got there, I cried like a baby because I couldn't believe I was actually there. So we introduced ourselves. I say, I'm Steve Ray. Here's my wife, Janet. We've been married for 48 years. And then I say, here's Amir, our guide. Now, Amir, I've worked over 100 trips with him. I interviewed all the Catholic guides 20 years ago, and I chose him, and we made a business deal. We've worked together ever since. He is, I tell you, this is a little bit of an introduction to how confusing it can be in the Holy Land, because he is an Arab by language. That's his primary language. He's Palestinian because his family's lived there over 800 years. He's a Roman Catholic. He is an Israeli citizen, and he's a Texan because he owns land and a business in Texas as well. So then I introduced David. His real name in Hebrew is Dudi, but we call him David because people can't remember the Hebrew name. And I introduced the priest. We always have a great priest, and it's usually Father James Conlon, who is a local priest. So we're best friends, and I bring him. He just knows how to have fun with everybody. He opens in prayer because every day begins with prayer. And I have the Google map up here, so I sent you a copy of it, by the way. So you can see the route we're going to take up to 6. Freeway 6 up to Tiberias, about 2 hours long. We have great conversations along the way, and I'm trying to squeeze all this into 10 minutes, what we do in 2 hours. But one of the things we do is we distribute rosaries. Everybody gets rosaries because when we go on this trip, we tell everybody, touch that package of rosaries to all the holy sites, and we pray every mystery of the rosary where it happens. So touch them on the rosary sites, and when you bring those rosaries back, They're blessed in Jerusalem. You have these rosaries that have touched all the holy sites, and they've touched the rosary sites. And you give them to people, and they cry when you give it to them as a gift of a list of all the. I have a list on my website of all the places they touch. So we talk about all kinds of things along the way. First of all, I say, how many of you have families that say, "You're going where?" And they all raise their hand. "Who will pray the rosary for you every day? We hope you don't get killed." It's just a total misconception. I could take you to Israel right now today, and you wouldn't know there's any problem. We'd go through Jerusalem. The only difference would be today there would be no lines. But people have this misconception that it's dangerous. It's more dangerous in big cities in America than it is to go to Israel. So anyway, I say I'm going to put up a movie every night to show your family you're there and having a happy time and you're good and they don't have to worry about you. So we talk about how Israel's a land bridge between all the great empires and how all of the country, Egypt and Hittites and Babylon, had to pass through that little bit of land to go to Egypt and back. All the travel went through there. That's why Israel was so many wars and fighting all through history. Everybody wanted to own that land bridge, because if you own that land bridge, you got the tolls and you got to charge the taxes. And we describe that, and we describe all about the languages. You're going to see Hebrew and English and Arabic. Those are the three languages. Pretty much everybody speaks English, but you'll hear Hebrew, you'll hear Arabic, and all the signs have the three different languages on them. The brake lights, red lights flashing everywhere. It is, if it's Thursday or Friday, it's going to be traffic because everyone's leaving the city, Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and they're going up to the north, up to the Sea of Galilee to go swimming and camping. And boy, on the weekends, right before Shabbat, the Sabbath, the traffic can really be bad. And I get tired of seeing those red lights ahead of us. But we get there usually, even with bad traffic, we get up there in about 2 hours. So you look over on your left, there's the Mediterranean Sea. And usually the sun is setting on it and it's shining red on the sea in the clouds. It's a beautiful sight. And people, again, are pinching themselves because they can't believe that they're really in the Holy Land and we're on our way up there. So then you start seeing familiar signs. You see signs for Cana, spelled with a K, K-A-N-A. Guess where that is? John chapter 2. That's the city of Cana where Jesus turned water into wine. And Bartholomew is from Cana. There's actually a church that says the Church of Bartholomew and Nathaniel, which has two names for the same guy. And I explained to them the difference between Holy Land, Israel, and Palestine, because most of the Arabs want to call it Palestine. The Jews want to call it Israel. So a lot of Christians just call it the Holy Land to not get in a debate on what it is. But that can offend people too. But we're in the Holy Land. That's the way I call it. It's the state of Israel. So I show them how to determine, because as we go through, remember that there's about 6.5 to 7 million Jews that live in this land, and almost 2 million Arabs. They live side by side. People don't realize that. And so my friend, for example, is an Arab. He lives in Nazareth, but they live side by side with the Jews and the Arabs. So I could tell them, now this village over there, I tell them how to just know that's a Muslim village or an Arab village, and that's a Jewish village. And usually the dead giveaway is there's a minaret sticking up off of the mosque. So you know that right away. That's probably an Arab Muslim village. So we got 2 hours to drive. I tell stories about a Jewish day, Sabbath day elevator. By the way, a Sabbath day elevator is on the Sabbath day. You can't push buttons because that's work. So they have it set up where you just step on the elevator and it automatically stops at every floor so you can get on and off without ever having to push a button. I learned that the hard way one time on the 17th floor of the Hilton. It took me half an hour to get to my room. Anyway, and I also tell about how pigs, people sometimes say it for breakfast. Where's the bacon? They don't realize that neither Muslims nor Jews can tolerate pigs. They're filthy animals. So there's no bacon when you're over here, or pork chops. And there's a law that you cannot raise pigs. No Jew can own a pig, and there can be no pigs raised on the land of Israel. So I tell these stories along the way. But there are pig farms, a few of them, but they're owned by Christians, and the pigs are on 3-foot platforms, so they never touch the land of Israel. So no Jew owns a pig, and no pig touches the land of Israel, because Christians own them, and they're 3 feet above the ground. Anyway, that's a story you'll hear while I'm driving up there with you. Now, we're coming around the corner. I see I got a minute and a half left, or actually 1:25 seconds. We come over the hill, and we've already seen the city of Nazareth with the lights twinkling on the hillside, and people can't believe that that's actually Nazareth right there. You know, it's dark by now. And Nazareth and Cana, and all of a sudden we crest over this hill, and down below you can see lights ringing all the way around it is the Sea of Galilee. And my wife, because we're from Michigan, Israel can fit inside Lake Michigan 2.5 times. We're from the Great Lakes. So we hear about the Sea of Galilee. We crest over the hill, and there it is. And my wife said, "That's no sea, that's a wimpy pond." It's only about 13 miles long and 8 miles wide. And for us, that's kind of a pond or a lake, but they call it a sea over there. And the reality is that I'm out of time, but next week I'm going to give you an introduction to the Sea of Galilee. You just saw it now, but tomorrow we're going to talk about next week, all about the Sea of Galilee, and I'm done.
Sacred Sites with Steve Ray is heard live every Monday on the Guadalupe Radio Network program Morning Joy, hosted by Keith Downey. For more authentic Catholic content, go to grnonline.com/joy.